So I'm currently watching through One Piece for the first time, and I'm documenting my entire journey, and I have been since the first episode. I'm about 200 episodes in right now. I'm about midway through the Long Ring Long Land arc, and I've got to say I've loved the series so far. I love the world, I love its characters, I love its storytelling, I love everything about One Piece so far, and I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about each character more in depth and more individually than I have been during my episode reviews, I guess. And there's a character I wanted to talk about specifically in this video, and that is the character Roronoa Zoro? Zoro. You know Zoro. So when Zoro was first introduced, I was expecting a typical badass sort of archetype. You know, he's a swordsman, he has a very cool design, he looks very threatening, and he was introduced as a big threat. He's very notorious and people know him, and whenever his name is spoken, people are pretty scared about it. And that's even true to this day. But what I got from Zoro was something completely different than what I expected. He is badass and he is really cool and he is all of those things, but there is so much more to him than just a typical cool dude that can wield a sword and kick people's asses, basically. It was very obvious from early on that there was a lot more to Zoro than just being a badass pirate bounty hunter and this notorious villain that the Marines painted him out to be when we first met him, because very quickly we see him protect this little girl Rika and her mother, who are being abused by the Marines, specifically Helmeppo. And Zoro obviously sees these two vulnerable people getting abused essentially, and he feels the need to step in, and that goes to show straight away Zoro's kindness and his empathy and his sympathy to people and wanting to protect them. And we see that even to this day with the other members of the Straw Hats, specifically like Chopper. If he's ever in a vulnerable spot, Zoro will be the first person to jump in and help in any sort of way he can. He is naturally a protector. And I think the way that Zoro is can all be originated back to his childhood. We get a couple flashback episodes where we see Zoro as a kid and first joining this dojo, where he's a bit cocky and he thinks he's the best, and he has this dream of becoming the world's strongest swordsman, as he still does, but he comes to learn that he's not the strongest, and there's actually a girl there called Kuina who's way stronger than him, and he can't even beat her once, and it blows his mind that there's this girl that's stronger than him, and there's probably loads of people out there that are stronger than him, and he's not even close to being the strongest. But it gives him this sort of this drive to become better and to become the strongest, especially after her untimely death. It pushes him beyond his limits essentially, and he carries both the dream of him and this little girl Kuina, because she held the same dream as him, and she really struggled because obviously being a girl, she says she can't naturally be as strong as men. You know, she has to work twice as hard to become as strong as them. And he sort of takes this into the future, saying there shouldn't be any sort of excuse as to why I can't be the world's strongest. He carries this dream of Kuina's and his, and I think that's really beautiful. But I also think that gives him his sense of wanting to protect other people. You know, he realizes that there are people out there weaker than him, there are vulnerable people out there, and if he can become the strongest, not only can he achieve this dream that he's been wanting to achieve since he was a kid, but he can protect other people, protect the people that he loves, because he lost somebody that he loved so early on, and I think that changed him probably forever. Unfortunately for Zoro, what comes with that dream and with that obligation that he feels like he must fulfill for himself is this great challenge to become the world's greatest swordsman. And although it's pushing him as far as it has, it is an obvious reality that he's nowhere near strong enough to become the world's strongest swordsman right now. I'm 200 episodes in, and one of the best examples of this is him versus Mihawk. Now, when he first met Mihawk, we heard a little bit about him before, about him being this notorious and the world's strongest swordsman. He is the best swordsman in the world, and we just heard about it. But one thing that's beautiful about One Piece is often we don't just hear about these things, we see them. And when Zoro encountered Mihawk for the first time, it was genuinely crazy, and it's one of the craziest moments so far in One Piece for me. And it wasn't the fact that he lost to Mihawk, it was the way that he lost to Mihawk. It wasn't even close, and it was a point, and it was a very strong point that was made, that Mihawk didn't even have to use his real sword. He did out of respect for Zoro, but he could have killed Zoro with a tiny little knife, essentially, is what he used originally. And it went to show the gulf in class between the world's strongest and Zoro, and I think it set off the journey for Zoro, for me, so much stronger. You know, knowing how far he has to go, how low down he is in terms of being the strongest swordsman, and how far his journey, how long he has to go still to even get close to that sort of level, made it really exciting to join Zoro on this journey and to see his progression through the series and see him get stronger and stronger till eventually one day maybe he'll rematch Mihawk and maybe he can put up a better fight or even win. I don't know, but seeing that gulf in class between those two, I think was such an amazing piece of storytelling, and I still think about it to this day, to be honest. Like, when these two meet again, I can't wait to see what happens. But as I briefly touched on earlier, Zoro isn't a one-dimensional character. He's not just there to be the world's strongest. He's actually a very emotionally intelligent and caring person, and one of the best examples I saw recently in the Long Land arc was with Chopper, and when Chopper's been taken away from the Straw Hats, this crew that he's come to adore, and the reason he actually decided to depart and become a pirate in the first place, besides Dr. Hiruluk, which is a whole different story, he starts crying and he's really scared and he starts screaming when he gets taken by the Foxy Pirates, and everybody's feeling sympathetic towards him, and they're all trying to sort of like not calm him down, but they all just feel bad for him, basically, all the other Straw Hats and everybody else. And Zoro is the only person to tell him, listen, you need to stop your whining, you need to stop crying. You think these people have sympathy for you. You need to sort of man up, essentially, and be a pirate, and you need to stay stern. And you can't show people weakness like you are right now. And there's two reasons he does that. One is because Zoro knows tough love. That's that's all Zoro knows, I think. Which is, I assume, the way he grew up, just the way he is. He's just, I don't think he's like an emotionally, you know, he's not going to treat somebody like a kid. He's not going to be overly sympathetic or anything like that. But he knows Chopper, and he knows that Chopper's whole dream is to become a strong pirate. That's what he wants. He wants to be an amazing doctor, obviously, but he wants to also be known as a real pirate. And Zoro knows this, and him saying that to Chopper isn't just showing tough love, it's also acknowledging what Chopper wants as well. And I think that goes to show a lot of how Zoro really is. And I think that is a very emotionally intelligent and caring person in his own way. He's not just, like I said, he's not just some brute that wants to be the world's strongest. He does genuinely care, and he is a protector. He wants to protect people he loves, not just physically, but morally as well. You know, he wants to make sure that his crewmates are achieving their dreams just as much as he is, because he does care about them, and that's very obvious. To me, Zoro is like the backbone of the Straw Hats, and he understands how important strength is, not just for his own dreams and becoming the world's strongest, but for his crew as well, and what it means to be able to be strong and push forward so they can all achieve their individual dreams as well, because he understands every one of the Straw Hats has a dream. You know, you have Sanji with the all blue, Luffy becoming king of the pirates, obviously, Nami navigating the whole world, Zoro becoming the world's strongest. Every single Straw Hat member has a dream, and that all comes down at the start of everything is strength. And it doesn't even have to be physical strength, it could be like emotional strength or the strength to push forward. And Zoro is the embodiment of that idea, of that philosophy, that strength is the driving factor, and it's not the thing that defines him, but it's this really important part of his character. And I think that's what makes him such an important part of the Straw Hat crew, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know how many situations they wouldn't be able to get out of, because he can push forward. He pushes the Straw Hats forward, I feel like, and that is a huge part of his character, is his strength. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I am 200 episodes into One Piece, and one of my favorite parts has been seeing Zoro's journey and seeing how far he's come as a person and as a swordsman so far. And there's still so much left of that story and this journey to tell, and I can't wait to see how far he can push this thing. Can he catch up to Mihawk? Can he push even further beyond that? Can he become the world's strongest? I can't wait to see how this all plays out, because Zoro is one of my favorite Straw Hat members, and I think his story and his dream is one of the most intriguing ones to watch, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts on Zoro as a character, 200 episodes deep into One Piece. Let me know what you think about Zoro as a person and as a character, and let me know what you might want to see me talk about next. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.